Everyone relax. You are back in the video store with me, Charlie Clausen, joined once again by a man who knows movies so well, he can tell you the difference between Michael Dudikoff and Michael Paré. It is, of course, Guy Davis.
That's a trick question, dude. No one can do that. What, what's that meme from The Office? It's the same picture.
One was American Ninja. What was the other one?
The other was, Streets of Fire.
Oh, I knew. Okay, that's right.
Eddie and the Cruisers. Yeah,
Eddie and the Cruisers. That's right. That's right.
Good to be here, Charlie. Thank you for welcoming me back into the video store.
Well, of course. I mean, how could I not when we're talking about one of our favorite directors, Paul Verhoeven? We are doing we haven't quite decided what the name is yet, the Dystopian Trilogy. What did you say? That's Paul? No, not what did you say? That's Paul, right? No.
Yeah, it ain't Verhoeven until it's over.
Whatever it is, it's the idea that Paul Verhoeven made some films in the late 80s and the 90s, which seem to predict the shithole of our world we live in today. We are talking about Total Recall today, which is the film that Verhoeven made directly after RoboCop. And a bit of a departure in some ways and is still sharing a lot of DNA in other ways. Now, this was at a point where Arnold Schwarzenegger was becoming probably the biggest star in Hollywood, thereabouts. T2 hadn't come out yet, but he was on his way to being that kind of box office, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think it had sort of the action hits with Commando and Predator and The Running Man, branched out into comedy with Twins, which I think was maybe his biggest hit at the box office.
Wow.
And but he had such force of personality that even when the movies weren't necessarily huge box office sensations, they became events just by virtue of the fact that Arnold was in them. Yeah, so
look, I don't think people think it anymore, but there was a time in which, Arnie was kind of dismissed as, the Austrian oak, as just this kind of dumb lug who got lucky. But I think what we understand about him now is he's a very, very savvy dude. Very aware of his own limitations, very aware of the right vehicles for him, and I think in this instance, very aware of the right director to get for this film. So, based on a Phillip K Dick book, we can remember it for you wholesale.
yeah.
This is a film that had been kicking around for years before it got to The Mad Dutchman, and I think that a lot of the versions of it. I think Cronenberg had been attached at one point. I think even Spielberg or someone like that had been attached at another point. But they were going to make it more sort of closer to the novel, which is not an adventure film, more of a cerebral meditation on reality and the nature of reality, as opposed to what this is, which is like Raiders of the Lost Ark in space.
Well, the thing of it, it's kind of a tried and true trope as well. The very unassuming looking individual who turns out to be the most dangerous person alive.
That's
but
right.
Only they don't know it. And through strange circumstances, they reclaim their identity in a lot of ways. It's and we've got similarities between this and the previous Verhoeven movie we discussed, RoboCop, in they're about reclamation of identity and a re-understanding of who you are and your place in the world. But you're right. I mean, this had been kicking around for ages, been in development hell under and various directors, including Australia's own Bruce Beresford, I think was one. He was going to direct
really?
it at I want to say Movieland on the Gold Coast, but there was like there's a big studio up in Queensland, right? Where I think a lot of stuff.
I don't know if it would have been back. I mean, maybe it just opened then. Yeah, there were a lot of films made in Queensland in the 80s, specifically as a tax dodge, because I think there was some kind of, is the B1 rule or something like that?
10BA?
Yeah, is that right? We could 100% of money put in the film was, so yeah, all of a sudden you had a bunch of criminals going, we don't give a fuck what the film is, just hide our money. So you had a shit ton of terrible films. Would have been a great time to be a filmmaker in Queensland.
God, absolute cowboy era. But the other thing was, when these other versions were being discussed, they generally had what you would consider traditional Hollywood leading men in the leads. I think they were looking at people like Richard Dreyfuss, like William Hurt, like Jeff Bridges.
Patrick Swayze, the reveal, I believe.
I think Swayze was also attached, and that's sort of more. You can see the direction it's going in. It's becoming a little more action oriented, but generally it's a very inconspicuous person who turns out to have these, remarkable skills, or a remarkable skill set that gets revealed in the midst of this great conspiracy. And in the end, they went with
it was the long
they
kiss
went with
goodnight before the long kiss goodnight.
or the Bourne Identity, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but instead they went with the most conspicuous man in the history of the world.
I know. It's just, that's the thing, right? Like anytime you cast Arnie in your film, and it works for lots of movie stars. Like I always say, you know, Angelina Jolie playing a cop in The Bone Collector. I'm like, please, come on, tell me. Like she's on the beat in New York. Arnie in any role, it's like, well, I guess construction. It kind of makes sense that this guy could be, holding a jackhammer.
It's funny though, because his co-worker, I think the actor's name is Robert Costanzo. I think he was in Die Hard 2, but he's one of those guys who was sort of kicking around forever. He generally looked like he played, construction workers and mobsters. Yeah. He's the kind of guy who looks like he would actually, work a 9 to 5, laying concrete or swinging a sledgehammer. Arnold just looks like, you see him working a jackhammer at some stage, like, I don't think you built those muscles, building skyscrapers, dude. That's, I think you're someone who counts his macros. So he's surrounded by, everyday looking people, except maybe Sharon Stone, who makes not an early appearance. She'd been kicking around for a while, but this is one of the things that really set her on the road to stardom, I think.
And you can definitely see, like, she just got stardust sparkling off her in, the 4 or 5 scenes she has in this film. It's also, I think, maybe the second only film where Arnie has a love interest, because prior to that, you brought up twins. You had Kelly Preston, but he's playing something of like a man-child in that, so I don't think it really counts. But like I don't know what is more awkward to watch, is like Arnie trying to do complex emotions or Arnie trying to be romantic. Both of them make me cringe a little bit. And there's
romance. It's romance.
There's in the opening, like he wakes up from a nightmare, choking on Mars, and Sharon Stone asks him what was he dreaming about, and then she gets jealous because she goes, "You were dreaming about that girl, weren't you?" And so she starts hitting him, and he has this line where he goes, "Come on, baby, you know you're the girl of my dreams." It's like Ramir Wolfcastle.
There's nothing more to say about it.
Crazy.
But actually, there's legit chemistry between those two, I've got to say, because they're both sort of, I don't know, not inhuman, but they're just like, they seem enhanced.
Movie stars. That's what they are. They're movie stars. Yeah.
We used to have them. We used to make them in this country.
It's funny though, like RoboCop, I think we talked about the sharing the DNA. You say that, they shot Dallas for Detroit in this, and in this film, apparently they wanted to shoot in Dallas again, but they couldn't get it for budgetary reasons. I found this interview with Verhoeven where he talks about why they shot in Mexico City. Should be playing any second now. Oh. Sorry, I don't know what's happened there.
Gonna have some editing magic.
For financial reasons, we had to go to Mexico City, and there, Mexico City is not a futuristic city like Houston, but I found a style of architecture there called New Brutalism, which is extremely kind of futuristic, very bold, strong, concrete stuff in a kind of an Aztec style that looks different.
And he's so
That's
right.
really noticeable, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I was watching the film and all the exterior scenes, like I do feel like the film loses a bit of something once they get to Mars, because it feels very much like they're on a set. But all the stuff on Earth, I could not figure out where this had been shot, and I was trying to work out, are they on a backlot? Have they built these really cool long, long sort of concrete angular walls and these giant escalators and stuff?
I wondered, had they gone to somewhere in Europe, like Germany or something? Because, I'm glad he said New Brutalism, because, that's what it's very much like, all these sort of angular concrete buildings and multi-level kind of establishments. Yeah, it's it feels futuristic, but not in a way that feels
showy,
implausible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like, and that's sort of how I feel about sort of RoboCop as well. Like, it's a Detroit that it's a bit uncanny, right? Like, you recognize it, but you don't recognize it. It's
Yeah.
there's certain signifiers about it, um, but there's so many little details throughout it. Like, we talked in the previous episode about RoboCop and the visual effects. I think it's in some ways it's more obvious, the visual effects in Total Recall, but in other ways it's really subtle. Like when he goes into Total Recall for the first time, and the receptionist is doing her nails with the little like nail changing pen. And it's just these little touches that I'm like, oh, it's interesting, right? Like he wants you to connect with the characters, but then there's all these kind of little elements around it which sort of signify how you are in an unreality or you're in a heightened reality.
And that's the whole thing about Total Recall as well. I mean, it's a debate that's been ongoing since the movie came out in 1990. It's like, yeah, how much of it is Quaid/House's delusion, or how much of it is the implanted memory? Is the whole movie his recall fantasy? You know, they sort of lay it out for you when he says, "Oh, this is what I want, and this is what we can give you. We could give you the secret agent package where you go to Mars, you save the day, you save the planet." And that's actually what happens in the second half of the movie. It's like, okay, did they actually lobotomize him, or is he just trapped in this delusional fantasy now, or did this actually happen? It's I won't say it gives the movie another level, but it certainly puts a little meat on the bone. I mean, you can enjoy it just as, okay, oh, this is really happening to Arnold, or this is the fantasy that he bought into, or that he bought, that he literally bought for himself.
I mean, the thing about it's a bit like, David Lynch was never really concerned with the answers. And I think that Verhoeven, at least from the stuff I've read when he's talking about Total Recall, is kind of the same. Like the last thing I watched, he was saying it's both. Like he is both. It's both a fantasy and it's reality. He said because that's what I was interested in is how people can live in two separate worlds at once. How these things can coexist. You can live an ordinary life, but you're also a superhero. And so he wasn't giving any definitive answer, or at least his definitive answer was a cop out, which is like both realities have happened.
That's fine. I mean, I think I appreciate that. You can take whatever you away from, depending on how you're feeling as well. I mean, I don't think as a viewer you necessarily had to have a set of responses to the movie. I think if one viewing you're feeling a little, shall we say, cynical or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, they've fried his brain and now he's trapped in this ongoing sort of feedback loop. Or the very last scene of the movie is kind of this bright light that sort of covers everything and drowns out everything. It's like, oh well, that's his brain dying or something like that.
It's interesting too that like RoboCop is an action film and this is an action film, but this feels like the way it moves, the pace at which it moves, once the chase begins, it doesn't really let up. There's not a lot of time for taking your breath. And I think this is actually more of an action film than RoboCop, even though RoboCop's probably regarded as more of an action classic. And there's so many scenes in it too, which are just so memorable just by how fucking weird they are. Like there's the getting through customs with the 2 weeks lady helmet. Like,
oh yeah.
So brilliant. Like, I mean, to this day, if someone says to me 2 weeks, I immediately repeat.
That's what you think of, right? Yeah.
2 weeks. Getting the tracking device out of his nose.
That's the one. Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ways you could do that, but yeah, to turn this into this Cronenbergian body horror thing where if you want to get this thing out of your head, you got to jam this thing up your nose and it'll yank it out. It'll probably rip your face apart if it's doing it. It's like, oh, God damn, that's painful to watch. And this is a movie where, as in RoboCop, you get people getting 100% ventilated by automatic gunfire. But yeah, the thing you remember the most is just this. How big do you think that thing is that's coming out of his nose? I mean, it's not really. It's not marble size. It's a bit the size of like
a tombola. I'd say it's the size of a tombola marble. So it's like a big marble. Yeah,
yeah, the one that you're hoping to win. Yeah,
yeah.
But Arnold, as you said, knowing his strengths and limitations, he really sells pain very well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that just comes from pumping iron all those years and just, but You really feel that thing coming out of his face. You know, how much of that is makeup effects, but I get the feeling there's a bit of Arnold expressiveness behind there.
Well, there's no simple kills in this film. And I remember I saw this at the movies when I was 13. So 12 or 13. And I remember even being like, holy fuck. Like that very first kill scene where he beats up Robert Costanzo in his game in that alleyway. You know, they
because you bled, Quaid. You
Yeah,
bled
the
the bad Moss.
Yeah, but the way he cracks those dudes' necks, just like rolled up celery, just. And then, like from then on,
beautiful,
it's like
beautiful shot composition. By the way, just you know, he's pulled the gun on some guy. You've just got this beautiful tableau of Arnold with his arm out, holding the gun. There's great sort of negative space around him. I just remember seeing that when I wasn't quite a kid when I saw it. I was like an older teenager, but I remember thinking, that's a really fucking good shot. It's making me feel something. It makes me feel like this guy's alone in the world, isolated, unaware of what exactly he's done and how he did it. Yeah. Fantastic direction by Verhoeven.
Again, the squib budget I think was enormous on this.
Insane.
There's the chase up the escalator where we talk about guys getting ventilated. The poor human shield, like it is so funny. It is so funny. So Arnie, like he's got guys blowing the escalator. They're exchanging gunfire, and a poor bystander gets hit. So Arnie's like, well, I won't let this go to waste. I'll just use this guy as a human shield. Not only the indignity of not only being used as a human shield, but then when you run out of bullets, he's flung towards the henchman. It's a way to buy Arnie some time. I kind of wish that the same guy from the boardroom in RoboCop had been used. I wish they'd used the same because it's the same amount of squibs. Like
bring
that
back
guy
Kinney.
had become like, the squib specialist.
That's life in the big city. It's such good-natured sadism in Paul Verhoeven movies. I mean, when he wants you to feel the pain that his characters are experiencing, he can really convey that, or you know, with the help of his cast and his crew. But I think Verhoeven also knows that he wants to get punters in the door, and he wants to give you what you want. So yeah, he'll do stuff like that shootout where that poor dude gets turned into a human shield or whatever. It's just so over the top that you can't help but laugh. Yeah.
Well, you just know though, like whenever violence is going to happen, like in one of these movies, like no one's just going to get shot cleanly. No one's going to get stabbed cleanly. Like their throat's going to come out. They're going to get like a jagged metal in the side of the neck. Their chest is going to explode. The car's going to run over their head. The drill machine, like it's all just like full on. Like he's not going to let up. And I guess that's part of it, right? Because violence is horrible and ugly and confronting. So he's going to show you the ugly, horrible, confronting violence.
Absolutely, yeah. So you kind of feel torn because it's like, oh my God, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen, but also the most gruesome. Yeah, poor old Michael Ironside Richter. I mean, holding onto that elevator, arms get cut off mid-forearm and he just plummets to his death. And of course, then Arnold has to, yell a one-liner at him. It's like adding insult to injury. It's just, as I said when we were talking about RoboCop, Verhoeven's just a maximalist. He really wants to throw everything at the wall, including ideas, man, because this is, I was thinking about that that line that gets, I don't think it gets bandied about as much as it used to, but, in the early days of social media, there was that thing that was like, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. Do you remember that? It's like, and, with social media and, increasingly with the internet, you can be whatever you want to be. You could reinvent yourself under an online handle, give yourself a digital alter ego or whatever. They explore that to some degree in Total Recall. It's a little bit of a stretch I'm making here, but, it's all about the nature of identity and being someone else. And the technology and the systems that they've got in place here enable you to be something other than what you are. You can be whoever you want to be without, from in the comfort of your own home or in the comfort of the recall office. Yeah.
I mean, and if we're sort of talking about like, the way that they envision, like, so who were was it not D'Souza? Was it? It was the other one.
No, this is Ronald Shusett and Dan
O'Bannon.
And yeah. Is Shusett doing? No. It's just Dan O'Bannon. Yeah, I was thinking the other alien guy.
The way they envisioned the future, like if you're going to sort of compare it to today, like there is this idea that we're living we live digital lives, we live a virtual existence online. People create avatars of themselves, they create identities for themselves.
Yeah.
Like if you watch that Louis Theroux Manosphere, like it's so
Oh, yeah.
apparently abundantly clear that, we have a entire digital economy that is built on images that people have created or projecting about themselves, which in no way reflect who they are in real life. You just need to see one of these like Manosphere guides with their mums or their wives or their
Oh, yeah.
girlfriends to realize how much of it is just an act. But also this idea of like, we're not going to be able to afford to go anywhere. Like,
No.
I mean, even fucking filling your car up to go to the shops is challenging at the moment. So it's like people will be driven more to an online virtual experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 2026 version of that is, you pop an edible and you sit in front of your big screen TV and you maybe put on footage of here's a night walk through Osaka, or here's drone footage of Ibiza. People will do that instead. I'm not just talking for myself here, I hope.
No, I 100% agree with you. And I think that like it's kind of hard since that Rick and Morty episode which is all about, the mind bending tropes. Like it's kind of hard to watch this film and go, oh, it's a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream. But it was genuinely kind of when I saw this, and I think when it came out, like it was genuinely like thrilling. Like that scene where his psychologist comes to meet him in the hotel room and he's like, no,
That's the one, yeah.
Quaid, you're still in your head. And I was like, fuck, what is going on here? Because I was totally convinced that he'd gotten out and that he was having this adventure for real. But then you do start to wonder, and it seems so unsophisticated today by today's storytelling standards, but I think it really does hold up. Like there's stuff in this, like I said, the sets seem a bit, cheesy and uninspired, but the quality of the filmmaking in this is really, really good. Like he just knows how to shoot action. He knows how to frame a scene, but he also knows how to work with really good actors. And it's interesting before you were talking about, see you at the party, Richter, like, the cheesy Arnie one-liner, because my favorite one-liner from this film is here.
Reasonable. After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
So Verhoeven, I saw an interview with him where he was saying that like the original script did not have any of the Arnie-isms in it, but once like he came on board and Arnie said, okay, we're reshaping this now, they went through every scene and were like, what's a cool one-liner that it could say at the end? My one question to you, Guy, is how many D's does Arnie include in that line? Consider the divorce.
Divorce. But it makes sense within the logic of the movie as well. I mean, if Arnold is in fact in this fantasy where he was Quaid and now he's actually Hauser, but he's Quaid trying to reconcile if he actually is Hauser, he would be dropping cheesy James Bond-esque one-liners in this Mars adventure. So it kind of makes sense. So it's I don't know. It works on a literal level and a meta level as well. It's fantastic. It's a very, very smart movie, Total Recall.
Yeah. And also very smart movie, but probably of all the three films, the trilogy and the extended universe we're going to be discussing, probably the most sexless one. Although it's almost like Verhoeven was put on a leash. It's like you can't have like your twisted sex scene, but we'll give you a 3-boob mutant. And he's like, great, I'll take it. Because that is like that. If there's a one scene or one moment everyone talks about from this film, it's like when the lady with 3 boobs exposes her 3 boobs.
Indeed, you've got the 3 boobs, lady. You've got the dwarf sex worker. Yeah,
Yep.
all these hints of Paul's
what he really wants to make a film about. Like I feel like
are peeking through.
Yeah, if he could have made the film, he would have set it all on Mars in that brothel.
Exactly right. But then he was saving it all up for a couple of years later when he made Basic Instinct, and then it just erupted. Yeah, but I want to rewind just a little bit to that scene that you were talking about where the psychologist comes in. First of all, just an absolute terrific performance by that actor, a guy named Roy Brock-Smith. Yeah, he sells that so well. I just love everything he does in that. But like you, when I saw that in the cinema, it was really just kind of a moment. It's like, oh my, what really? Now,
What's
of course,
happening?
yeah, you cut to a decade later, and The Matrix basically makes a whole movie and a whole mythology out of that kind of thing. But for this to have this kind of plot point in Total Recall, yeah, I thought was just just kind of mind blowing, and a real sort of interesting swerve away from, as you said, that non-stop action that we had. This is very much a lull in that before people start just getting shot between the eyes again.
It's such a great tension point too, that scene, because the reveal, the tell, is a single bead of sweat, like it's just brilliant. Like it's great visual storytelling. Although I wouldn't be confident if I was Quaid that was enough to convince me that this in fact is reality, because it's like, I'm sure I've dreamed about people sweating into, like, I don't trust myself enough.
Yeah, but Brock Smith is just selling it so well. Just that line about, you'll be lobotomized. It's like, oh, damn. Okay, yeah, better follow this guy's advice.
Now, I feel
everything's working in concert. Everything's working together to make this so convincing and so compelling.
Now, we talked in the RoboCop episode about villains. And so Michael Ironside, we know that Verhoeven loves a balding, middle-aged hard ass. What do you reckon of Michael Ironside as Richter?
I love him. I was an Ironside guy since Scanners, like a lot of people, I guess, because it's weird. I rewatched Scanners not long ago, in which he's sort of the big bad, the head scanner. And I don't think you'd call Michael Ironside, and I'd say this with all due respect to an actor I really like, you wouldn't call him necessarily a hunk or anything like that, but he's strangely sexy. In Scanners, he's strangely sexy, and in this, he kind of is as well. You get the feeling, because, Sharon Stone is his wife. She's a deep cover agent, having to bone Arnold as part of this gig. And he's obviously insanely jealous about this, but you can sort of sense the heat between Michael Ironside and Sharon Stone as well. It's like, these two are probably the kinkiest fuckers.
Is it the Ray Liotta kind of? Is it that kind of? It's that dangerous kind of sex appeal that he has. I mean, it's funny. Like, he's not. We sort of talked last week about Clarence Boddicker being this absolute like psychopath. It's a different kind of villain. He seems much more. He's got much more self-control. He's much more driven. Like you say, he's sort of got the jealousy, so that keeps him like laser focused on. He's just waiting for a kill order that he can kill Quaid. But
Kurtwood Smith is hot-blooded.
Yeah.
Michael Ironside is cold-blooded.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Absolutely. Yes. Very reptilian.
And I love that he's also got his mouthy little offsider who's sort of always cracking wise. Michael Champion, what a great name. Just say, what are you saying? She liked it?
What a weird looking dude to do. Like, I mean, he's just odd. Yeah, it's just a.
But again, that's great casting. It's a distinctive face. So many actors' faces these days seem cut from the same cloth. A lot of these movies have got bring great texture.
And in keeping with that sort of like tough guy, balding tough guy, a young Dean Norris, of course, plays one of the rebels, the vagina-faced rebel. I don't know what the character's name is. Tony, I think maybe. But you know him as the vagina-faced rebel. He will later show up as a sergeant or a military commander in Starship Troopers. Looking so much older than Casper Van Dien, but apparently only 5 years older than Casper Van Dien. I mean, we can talk about that more when we get to our Starship Troopers episode, but I was shocked to find that.
I'd love to see a high school graduation picture of Dean Norris.
Probably always looked like
probably
Dean Norris.
Bald as an egg, probably got jowls.
Yeah. My one, I'm not sure, is Rachel Ticotin. I think she's a good actor. I just don't vibe her in this film. I think she's got too much class. Like
a little bit. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's funny because she kind of looks a bit like a Zendaya. She's like a kind of like a 90s version of Zendaya. She's really beautiful and statuesque, but she's got so much like strength and nobility. I don't buy her as
too much integrity.
Yeah, as an undercover hooker. Like I think, like because from the very like when Quaid first goes to Total Recall and he imagines his fantasy woman and he says she's got to be sleazy, and apart from her wardrobe, there's nothing about her that is
No.
sleazy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that she had to do a more sleazy performance. I just feel like they got like a classically, it's like seeing Kate Blanchett or something, like a classically trained actress. And I wanted someone who was a bit more street smart, you know, someone a bit like Michelle Rodriguez or someone who was going to bring a bit more of that kind of like gritty, I'm like a rebel, you know, live and hide in tunnels kind of energy. Whereas I sort of feel like she could be speaking at the UN or something.
Yeah. I'm sorry to bring back other movies that we've talked about recently, but I mean, someone like Teyana Taylor from One Battle After
Yes.
Another, I get the feeling she'd be perfect for that kind
Well,
of role.
I mean, she played the same role, but more convincingly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Perfidia Beverly Hills is basically this character. Yeah, but I get where you're coming from, and I get the feeling another reason for that is that Sharon Stone makes such a great impression in her performance. And again, has that chemistry with Arnold as well, that it's almost like, I kind of want to see more of those two interacting. They seem on the same wavelength. And as I said, yeah, Rachel Coton seems, you're right, just a little bit too classy for this. Like she's in a different kind of movie. Because this is, for all it's all we're saying about Total Recall's intelligence and underlying themes and that kind of thing, this is also just a really entertaining movie.
Yeah.
You know.
And it made a lot of money too. Like it was very successful. But yeah, I guess it's that idea of with Rachel Ticotin is that you're right. There's so much chemistry between Arnie and Sharon Stone that for her to be his one true love or the woman he's meant to be with, she's got to burn hotter. And,
yeah, you need uber chemistry.
Uber, and like, there's actually a good like fight scene between her and Sharon Stone where it's like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm seeing more of the badass nature, and you know, she's got the pithy one-liner and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, she's sort of between a rock and a hard place, really, wasn't she? Because the function of the character is to get Quaid, you know, to where he needs to go, while also being this like perfect counterate to the more fun bad girl. You know, if it was film noir, then she would be like the girl next door, or the, you know, she's not the femme fatale, she's the girlfriend or the wife or whatever. And it's just I don't know.
It's a bit thankless.
It's a bit thankless, and I don't know if maybe she was miscast. Like maybe if they'd got someone with a bit more attitude, or someone who kind of could go more toe to toe with Sharon Stone in the kind of sass department.
Yeah, she was probably a little too young for it at this stage, but she was on the rise. Someone like Rosie Perez.
Or what about Mary Conchita Alonso? You know,
from the Running Man.
Like, of course, Running Man. I was going to say Colors, but like that same kind of character. She's a real fucking mouthy, you know, strong Latino woman. Like I think that kind of energy would have been great. Also, I just didn't get any chemistry. Like the kiss they share, it's like, ugh. It's a bit like when you do the Rock kiss someone, you know, like there's certain characters or cinematic icons. You're like, I don't know that you even know how to kiss a woman. This is weird. So I'm looking at you, Tom Cruise.
Now, I can't believe we made it almost 2 episodes into our Paul Verhoeven discussion without discussing Ronnie Cox.
Of course.
Yeah, who enjoyed a bit of a career reinvention thanks to our man PV, because I mean, I think most people would have, you know, thought of Ronnie Cox from Deliverance, you know, where he's, doing dueling banjos.
The waspiest of the wasps.
Indeed. Yeah. He always seemed like a very sort of nice middle American patriarch kind of guy. Yeah. And yeah, in RoboCop, Verhoeven cast him as this shark, as this corporate shark who's, basically sort of running these schemes that are going to, defund the police or disband the police, and so you can get Ed 209s patrolling the streets of Detroit. In Total Recall, he's the dictator of Mars, essentially. He's Cohagen, who's Cohagen gives the people air. he's not giving the people air. You know, he's basically a cold-blooded capitalist dictator.
Yeah. I mean, if Elon Musk was to ever actually get to Mars, I could imagine him setting up a little empire a bit like this.
That's the thing. Elon is probably, you know, in one of his many compounds right now, watching Total Recall on a loop and, you know, regarding Ronnie Cox as the hero as opposed to Arnold.
All we've got to do is just find those hot pokers to stick in the ice.
Yeah, stick into those Mars glaciers. It's like, I'm not a science guy, but I mean,
I'm
this
not
isn't
sure
scanning
that's
for
how you
me.
create an atmosphere
Atmosphere.
around an entire planet.
How you create it instantly, by the way, yeah.
You know what is the interesting thing about this film as well too is the like how contained it is, but it feels much bigger. Like essentially, it's contained to like those few Earth locations, his apartment, his work site, Total Recall, and that the streets. Then you get to Mars, and you're pretty much in the brothel, in the mines, and then in the underground, where the ice is. But it feels much bigger. Like when you consider what's at stake in this film, that you have to give the people of Mars oxygen.
Yeah.
We've only met like 30 of them. Like, it's
Correct,
not-
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but they do a really good job of making you feel like this is a planetary crisis that we're facing, as opposed to the 30 odd people we met at the brothel.
Well, you've got that cute little girl and her protective
Psychic
mother.
mum.
It's kind of like, yeah, it's
Tell your fortune.
Spielberg did the same thing in Schindler's List. It's like, yeah, if you micro it down, it's like, oh, this one little girl represents the horrors of the Holocaust. Likewise, in Total Recall, this one little girl represents the horrors of Cohaagen not giving the people air. So, yeah, I mean, I can get that they're not. You're only seeing 30 or so extras as the entire population of Mars. But yeah, I mean, that's capitalism at work, man. And yeah, they're exploiting natural resources and they're exploiting human resources. Yeah.
I hope they're paying some kind of export tax on whatever they're mining on Mars. I'll tell you what.
Open the Strait of Hormuz. Do it, Cohaagen.
They also they presupposed driverless cars with Johnny Cab.
Correct. How would you feel about getting in a Waymo? Or do we have them in Australia? Do we have driverless sort of taxis or anything like that?
Yes, we do. A friend. Oh no, sorry, I don't think we have driverless taxis, but we definitely have driverless cars because my friend said that he went for a drive in a driverless Uber, but he said it was one of the most disconcerting experiences he's ever had. You just don't trust that it's going to follow the road rules.
So would it feel less disconcerting if you had Johnny Cab in the driver's seat?
To have that guy from Deep Space Nine.
To have Robert Picardo in there going, hey, how about that weather?
Yeah. No.
How about those cats? Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a good point. Like, if you had some kind of robot sitting in the driver's seat with its hands on the wheel, then I probably would feel a bit better than just a empty driver's seat.
Than just an empty seat. Like you prefer being driven by a machine than being driven by a ghost.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But I don't think I would want to get into any driverless vehicle yet. I think I'll just. I think I need a bigger sample size to make sure that like this technology actually works. The best one, still, I think, is Minority Report, where they're driverless cars, but they all run on like rails or something, right? And they're magnetic. They're all on magnetized tracks, so you can't really smash into anyone, because that would be my concern. I mean, my car, I don't know if your car has this, but it's got like proximity sensors. So if I get too close to the car in front of me, it actually brakes. And I tell you what, dude, like that has fucking saved me so many times when my mind's wandering. Thank God my car's paying attention, because I certainly have not been.
One more thing to enjoy about Total Recall. Actually, there are many things, but Jerry Goldsmith's music. Big fan.
Another great bombastic score that is so perfectly like that's the thing about this film, is that you talk about like the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, that was the era of the blockbuster. That's where the formula was kind of first kind of perfected. And I think we kind of, it sort of morphed, and into the 90s. This was our era, guy. This is when we were going to the cinemas every weekend, because you knew more or less there'd be at least one film like this, which you're just going to get your money's worth. It's going to be a big score. It's big action, big stars, heroes and villains and all that kind of stuff. And I think Total Recall just hits all those marks. And of the films we're going to be discussing, I think it's probably the most mainstream.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's got ideas in it, certainly, but I don't think they're as front and center as they are in, say, RoboCop or Starship Troopers, where they're not even subtext, they're text.
Well, I sort of feel like, apart from Hollow Man and well, no, I'll take that back. There's basic mixing. What I was going to say is that I think Verhoeven's attitude to his cast, it tends to be either I'm going to get the absolute best actors who are perfect for the job, or I'm going to just get like these ciphers that I can just manipulate
Blank
like
slates
puppets.
onto which I can project my ideas.
Yeah. I can dress these puppets out, these meat puppets, however I want, and make them do whatever I want. We'll be getting to Starship Troopers next week. Guy, thanks again for coming on the show. People can hear you on the Four Finger Discount Network. You also do that great podcast with Leonard Maltin, the legendary Leonard Maltin. Does he still do his movie guide in printed form, or is it all online?
No, not anymore. He does have
it'd be
a website
ridiculous
with the
now, right?
reviews, but no, the book unfortunately is
The book would be bigger than the Bible by now, surely. Like
Oh
it
my
was
goodness, yeah.
enormous back in the 90s.
It was a chunky old thing, wasn't it? Yeah, but
Yeah.
just full of wonderful, wonderful insight. But still do. We're doing the movie guide with Malton Davis, so yeah, check that out wherever you find your podcasts, along with the many podcasts of the Four Finger Discount Network. And if you want regular musings about the world of entertainment and the world in general from yours truly, you can find me at Robert Guy Davis at Twitter/X.
Look, if you are still on X, I highly encourage you to follow Guy. I like to just dip in to see, especially on a Friday or a Saturday night, to see what Guy has thought about something that he's just watched. You get some tremendous insight and some controversial opinions from time to time. Always an excellent read, Guy. Thank you so much. We'll be back again next week to discuss, I reckon, one of the most underrated films of the 90s, Starship Troopers. But for now, I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Guy Davis. Would you like to know more?
Perfect. Great out. Awesome. Thanks, man.